Welcome back to Financial Freedom for the Average Person. I am Oba Vincent, and we're back here in Las Vegas. And today we're going to talk a little bit about controlling college costs. And I'll have a few different sections on costs with college and give you some ideas on what you can do to help your sons and daughters or yourselves. And also in this case, we're going to deal with exercise 17, which is finding the best and the worst college degrees. So is college worth it? And it really is a big depends. If you plan it well, yes, it can be. And however, for some people, it's just going to cause a financial hardship. And I see so many parents with they just take their hands off and really don't participate with their children and going into the education world. And you can get in a lot of trouble. Shifting degrees, things like that can be very, very expensive. And so you need to plan it out. Um, so if you do it right, and if you install self-confidence and a belief in your children that they're going to do amazing things, they will do amazing things. And that's also with you as well. If you believe that you can do amazing things, you will and can do amazing things. But right up front, if you're dealing with your children, determine what you can do, or what you're willing to do, and what you can't do. And then let them know that. Be very, very clear so the expectations are managed. And in my case, we put it in writing. I actually signed a contract with each of our three children so they knew up front what we were going to be able to give them and what their expectations were. And that worked very, very well. Often trade schools can be very, very valuable. If you've looked at electrician prices or plumbers, you can make a lot of money. Sometimes it's not the most fulfilling work, though, and that's also important. So talk a little bit about the costs with schools. Tuition this year at some of the schools are now over 100,000 a year. And sometimes even at the public schools, the room and board can be as much as the tuition. Not 100,000, but certainly 20,000 a year. And some degrees aren't worth it. And you either going to have to go further, like if you're going to be a social worker, if you get a undergraduate in social work, you're not going to make a lot of money, and you're probably not going to get a job either unless you go on and get a master's or even a PhD. Story that I've got in the book was a young person and my son, met when he went to go purchase a car, and the young woman had gotten a degree in education. She had went to a private school, got out, found out that she didn't really like teaching, so she was selling cars. She was over $100,000 in debt, and her and her husband now were trying to figure out how they were going to deal with all of the debt. And she was working in a job that she didn't even need a degree for. So some things if you plan it out, there's a lot of things you can do to reduce the costs. Um, Big thing, if you're looking for a degree that's not going to pay a lot, like education, consider public schools. Consider starting your degree at community college, and then go through on that. Um, One of the best things though is to make sure that what you start in, you want to finish in. And because if you move around and change degrees, often that ends up adding years to how long it takes you to get through college. So a 4-year degree might turn out to be a 6-year degree. Also, I will say, if it's done correctly, a 4-year degree can be done in 3 years. So again, if you plan it out, and we'll get more into those details later on. Okay, we're going to get to exercise 17. We're going to determine the best and worst degrees, and this is based on value. So here's the approach. Take out a sheet of paper, write down the 5 careers that you'd be interested in. Then go online and find how much these are going to pay for the highest and lowest. Okay, and there's lots of places you can find this. List the 5 best paying and the 5 worst paying degrees. And this isn't necessarily the ones that you're looking at. You looked at your 5. Now, where's the higher? You may find a degree that you'll be more interested in and is going to pay better. Okay. Next, see if you can find the salary potential for the careers that you've identified. Look up the average cost of attendance at your local state school, and then answer the following questions. Are the degrees you identified that you want to do worth the cost? And if you still want to do it, that's fine. That's just how can you do it cheaper, or understand that you're going to have some debt coming out. Okay, so here is the example I use, and I did this just a few years ago, so it's not going to be too much different. So, so here's the degrees that I'd be interested in. Okay, I am a chemical engineer, electric computer engineer, high school teacher. I'm not really interested in that, but a lot of people are. Lawyer, and then financial manager. And if you look at that, there is no doubt that the engineers, the tech level, is going to pay you the best. And then the aspect on that, and what I also tell people, if you are capable of getting that engineering degree, you can always go back pretty easy and be a financial manager or go to law school. It doesn't take a lot to go off that, or teach. In many school districts, you can immediately go in and teach with an engineering degree. There's a lot of flexibility. But now, if you have a teaching degree, don't expect that you're going to get an engineering job without going back and doing a lot more of studying. So here, I've listed the 5 best paying degrees of the time, and you can see petroleum engineering starting salaries up to $176,000. Oh my gosh. Uh, then you can go on down here and you see, all of this is in the science and the tech. 5 worst. The very worst being early childhood education, child and family studies, child development, pastor, youth ministry. And also, these are soft degrees. These are degrees that aren't going to take you to learn much about math or science, and those aren't going to pay a lot. So if you have a strong interest in that, also understand that you're probably going to have to go off and get additional degrees beyond the bachelor's. So you need to pursue, not at a private school paying $100,000 a year. Yeah, you're never going to get out of debt if you were to go that route. So let's look up the average cost of attendance at your local state school. So I was in Florida at the time, and at that time, if you're in state, it was 22,000 was our average cost, and that included room and board, so about 88,000 for 4 years. Are the degrees worth it? Engineering degrees are definitely worth it because you're going to get a return on that money almost immediately. But some of the others are not. Okay. And then you also realize that if you want to be going to law, well, you're gonna have another additional expense of over 100,000, and it might not be a good career option later on. Teaching degree is not worth the cost and barely provides a living wage. So things to consider. Bottom line, college is expensive. I didn't speak much about it here or at all, but the military route, ROTC or enlistment, active guard reserve, pay for college is a good way to go. That basically you'll get your college paid for if you do go the route with the military. The ROTC basically you commit to go through that during college, and then when you come out, you're an officer, and your college has been paid for, or a good portion of the college is paid for. Now, your children, you don't know, they don't know. No one talks to them about the financial aspects of college, or very little of it. And they get pushed into subjects that their friends are considering, or the high school career advisor blight. High school career advisors don't make a lot of money. And they're a resource, but they shouldn't be your only resource. And your children's success or failure can dramatically impact your retirement. If they're successful, they're not coming back home. You're not necessarily going to be raising your grandchildren. In our case, we're very fortunate. We have three children that are extremely successful. I would say they're probably more successful than their parents, which is good. That's what you want to see. So, support your children, support yourself. It all comes back together. And we'll have some more on this in a little bit.